people coming up to me and just saying, oh my God, I got an amazing job at one of the big sixes. And I'm just like, what? Like, you're probably earning more than me.
Hello and welcome back to the Coutts Beyond Success Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Jackson, and joining me is Greg Kyle-Langley, our resident Coutts expert. And together we are asking, what happens after success? Now, we are very excited about today's guest. She's a DJ, content creator, and founder of SocialFixt, a groundbreaking recruitment and jobs board platform bridging the gap between Black talent and creative opportunities. She's on a social mission to make sure there's more diversity in the creative industry, and she's doing a very good job at it. She's also just turned over 6 figures. But what's next? Mercedes Benson, everyone. Also, I'm so sorry, I have to apologise because I've got a really croaky throat. I think I've got a bit of a cold.
That's okay.
Okay,
That's okay. We're cracking on.
Mercedes, I think we're totally doing down your achievements with SocialFixt. So tell us more about how it started and how it's going now.
Yeah, so SocialFixt was basically birthed in 2017. I was working in the kind of entertainment marketing industry, and in all the companies that I went to, for the most part, I tended to be the only Black girl in my team. And so for me, it kind of dawned onto me, like, where are the other diverse, candidates? Why aren't my friends in these companies as well? And so it kind of informally started from basically starting up a Facebook group, inviting all my friends into it. And we basically would, promote and create more awareness about opportunities that we were seeing in the creative industry, as a way just to champion each other, champion more opportunities, and kind of fight nepotism head on, which is what I was seeing quite predominantly in the creative industries.
So take me from the very beginning, that very first job opportunity that you shared with your network. What was that moment like?
So it was quite overwhelming, actually. So I was working at a really big company, and there were a few internal opportunities that were being shared. And I was just like, okay, I don't have any immediate friends that will want this job. So let me take it online and see if anyone else would want to apply for this job. So I had to kind of do it anonymously. No one kind of knew what company they were essentially applying for. But I was just like, guys, there's X opportunity, send me your CVs and I will share it with the HR team. And I got about 50 emails of CVs. Wow. And I was just like, whoa, so we are all looking for a job here. So I think from then on, I was just like, okay, there's definitely a disconnect happening between the Black community that I'm a part of and the hiring managers that seem to say that a lot of people are applying for these jobs, but clearly there's more to be had. So, yeah.
And what were people saying back to you from starting this all off?
People were happy at the time because it was quite refreshing to have, at the time, our own kind of private Facebook group where we would share opportunities amongst each other. I think, with every community group, it's always nice to have, support and camaraderie between people that look like yourselves. And it was kind of like us kind of coming together, sharing these opportunities, and then being able to face the outside world a little bit more confidently, knowing that, we had each other's back. And so I think that's kind of how it basically grew from 0 to 7,000 in a couple of years, which was beyond me at the time.
But how amazing that you have the power to transform somebody's life with a job. So do you meet people and they've said, Mercedes, I'm that girl, you got a job at X, Y, and Z, and now I'm doing this?
Absolutely. When I'm on the train, I've had people come up to me saying that, you helped me get my first internship. Even in church or just on the road, people coming up to me and just saying, oh my God, I got an amazing job at one of the big sixes. And I'm just like, what? Like, you're probably earning more than me. But
give me some of that money.
Exactly. Like, where's my percentage? But it's really good and it's really affirming. And yeah, it kind of just gives me that extra encouragement to keep going.
This must be a big thing though, when you're dealing with numbers of people, that you do need to meet the individuals and see the change that's mattered for one person's life, because otherwise you are just plugging together lots of people, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I think even just kind of getting through the pandemic made me realize that, we do have this amazing online platform, but how can we kind of make more of an IRL experience take place where we can actually meet these people head on and see how we are impacting lives, not just online, but like in real life as well.
And are you seeing the amplification of this success? So you obviously know when you've placed people in jobs, but are you now seeing them attracting more people? And is it starting to build momentum and get that flywheel going?
Absolutely, because what's going to happen is that the more you hire diverse candidates into your teams, the more you can increase that diverse pipeline from the bottom up. And even with, 2020 and everything that happened with George Floyd, there was like this huge uproar for there to be better representation and to kind of fight racial inequality in the workplace even more. So I think we're in a much better place than we were when I started SocialFixt in 2017, but there's still obviously a lot more to do, and that's why we're here and that's why we're still continuing the fight. But I'm happy to say that, yes, the creative industry is improving as much as it can. I think there's a new issue though, but I don't know if we should...
No, should we get it? Please do.
Okay, why not? I would say the new issue is that whilst we are increasing that bottom-up pipeline where we're getting more junior level Black and brown diverse talent into the companies, we're having a middle management problem where due to kind of cultural fits and I would say belonging and inclusion, a lot of Black and brown talent are leaving once they get into middle management. So we're actually seeing a decline in senior management and leadership roles still being taken up by brown and Black people. So I think there's still a bigger fight to be fought now on that side of the spectrum. And yeah, we're going to work our way to be able to tackle those head on. But progress is progress.
Yeah.
And is this something to do with the way that companies set themselves up where they think that it's quite neutral to have a policy to dress in a certain way or to talk in a certain way or to have your hair in a certain way?
Yeah.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think microaggressions can definitely, affect Black and brown employees in companies a lot more than people do realize, even just by our mannerisms, the way we talk, the food we eat and we want to, have at lunch. It can be quite isolating, If I'm bringing in, rice and stew, it's going to smell. But it smells good to me, but it might be foreign to you guys. And so sometimes I remember when I was younger, when I had my mum's, super fragrant, peppery kind of lunches, I would kind of just want to stay in the corner to eat it. And it's not something that you would realize, but I think what happens with a lot of Black and brown individuals is that when we are in such an overwhelmingly white space, we tend to either hide or assimilate to the culture that we're around. And so I think with SocialFixt, we're trying to make sure that we're empowering our young people as much as possible to still be who you are, still show up as you, no matter what company you work for. And so those are some of the things that the cultural kind of nuances that might make my experience versus your experience different in the workplace once I'm there.
But is it education on both sides? Is it going into the companies who perhaps are full of white men and women and saying, this is how you can be more inclusive rather than,
Absolutely. I think reverse mentoring is something that we could all be doing. I would love for senior leaderships to pair up with, the junior members of staff and actually learn more from their experiences. I wish more companies would be able to kind of instill that into their company culture because I just think there's so much to learn from young people. It never stops. I'm in my early 30s, but I want to know what my 21-year-old cousins are doing on TikTok.
How do you use your telephone?
How do I think we should make it a conscious effort to continue to learn from the younger generation and not stifle them. And so, reverse mentoring, let's do that. absolutely, I would want to put the pressure on senior leaders and C-suite leaders to make sure that they understand what their junior members of staff and middle members of staff are going through and make that, the cultural experience in their companies better.
Well, you are a very creative person, and I'm sure that there is a lot going on in your head all of the time.
Yes.
Are you a notes person?
I am very much a notes person. It is it's quite scatty, but okay. I've got a lot of brain dumps in there. But yeah, there are a few things.
Okay. Can we have a look at your notes app? Because I honestly feel like this is going to be a real deep dive into what is going on in your head. So how do you write your notes? To-do lists, personal notes, quotes, what is it?
It's okay, yeah. So I would say it's like a mixture of just brain dumps, song lyrics, and just any sort of posts that I see online that I know I don't want to forget. So I kind of just copy and paste them into my notes for memory. It's all about money.
I love your honesty.
So top note is basically me copying and pasting excerpts from this book I was reading, which is You're a Bad at Making Money. And another one is when I copied a post on how to become a millionaire.
Sure, read it out to me. I am all ears.
Okay, so number one, it was create multiple streams of income. I'm en route to doing that.
Right.
Number two is watch less television.
Oh no, I love television.
I know. I mean,
hello. Watch more.
So that's one. Number three, wake up earlier. I'm really trying to do that. I'm trying to create a routine.
Do you kind of, when you want to feel empowered and you're like, having a bit of a bad day, let's get the notes out. Let's feel empowered. Is that what you use them for?
So, that's a good point, actually, because I do write a lot of quotes in there. I think for me, I use these notes as a brain dump in the moment. Yeah. So when I see something that I think is inspirational or will become of value later on, it's that FOMO of, okay, I need to make sure that it's somewhere that I can refer to. Yeah. But I actually refer to my notes when I'm feeling quite low. When I'm feeling sad is when I refer to my notes. And I think it's because when the time is right, it will affirm me in that sadness or in that moment of doubt. So I would be lying if I said I check it every day. No, it's more kind of there to be used for when that time comes. And it's almost like I just need that extra kick. Yeah. But I know that I've almost like consolidated all that advice that I want myself to be given. Yeah. I've kind of put it in there ready for that rainy day.
There's something people talk about a lot as well when they kind of ascend through these levels of success, that things get lonelier and lonelier. Is that something that resonates, and who do you go to other than the Notes app when you're feeling like that? Absolutely.
So I'm an only child, so I've always kind of been alone. Not lonely, but I'm just used to being independent, might be hyper independent, a bit toxically independent. Yes. I find it hard to work with other people. I find it hard to work in teams.
How so?
I just think I'm scared of disappointment.
Right.
I'm scared of rejection. So it's a lot easier to control those two things by just operating on your own.
Yeah.
And it's also hard as well, I think, being an entrepreneur and being in the creative space to explain to other people what it is that you're trying to do. I think being in the creative industry is quite lonely because you're the only one that has this vision in your mind. Yeah. And to the normal person, it can be quite delusional, And so it's like, how do I explain my delusion to the average person?
How can I articulate what's going on?
How do I articulate exactly? Like, everyone's just going to work 9 to 5 and, you just want to get paid at the end of the month and live a happy life. And I'm saying, I want to build 1 million. Like, it's just, it's hard to explain, but it is an ambition and conviction that I have. So sometimes it's just easier to just operate on my own. But I'm trying to work against that. I want to build a team.
So we know where you've been and all the incredible things that you've done so far. This is a very big question for you, but what's next and what plans do you have to put into place to be able to get there?
Absolutely. I think one of the big challenges, or one of the big accomplishments I've had is building SocialFixt and basically bootstrapping it from 2017 up until now. But in order for it to grow, in order for it to be as impactful as I want across the UK and around the world where any Black talent exists and wants a creative opportunity, I need to build a team. I can't just do it on my own. So I think for me, what next is actually embracing what true leadership is and will feel like, and building a team that can support me in that vision of making SocialFixt more than what it is today. So that is quite scary. I'm reading a lot of books, a lot of self-help books, leadership books, because it's something that I do want to overcome, because I know it's pretty much an obstacle that's stopping me from going from A to Z. And then also, I mean, with every entrepreneur, there's something there's always that core why. And I think for me, there's two whys. There's the selfless why, and then there's the selfish why. And the selfless why obviously is because I know that SocialFixt is bigger than me and I want it to impact as many lives as possible. I don't want people to have that difficulty in pursuing their creative careers in the same way that I did. Like every generation, it should feel easier. That's how I see it. And then my selfish why is that being able to build a company that's working, that's amazing for me, because I'm an only child, single parent family, coming from inner city London. It's like, this is a chance to build generational wealth. And that's just something that I want to do. I want to buy a house, you know? Can't live on a council block all day, can we? We've got to grow.
How do you feel then being so instrumental to your business? And do you feel like you want to be the face of it? Because so far you kind of, I feel like you've built it kind of with you, kind of without you. I heard that sometimes you put it in your bio on social media, then you take it out again, then you put it in again.
I've taken it out.
It's out again now.
It's out.
So why is that?
I honestly get a kick out of knowing that I have a business that isn't about me, because everything on social media is about everyone. And it's just refreshing, you know, for it to not be about me, but it's still working. And so that's what I love about the fact that I've built SocialFixt, because it's not about me, it's about the people. It's about the jobs. It's about people being able to live their best lives doing what they love.
But you built that platform and you are the secret sauce. You're the USP. You're the person that has, you know, you've laid those foundations and nobody else could have done that because you did it.
True. So I am getting round to speaking about it more, hence why we're here. And I think now that I know it's working, and I think we've beat 5 years, because they say after 5 years, a lot of companies fail to exist.
Right.
So
congrats.
Thanks. So I think now I do want to use my voice a lot more. I think as well, I've been scared to use my voice.
Why?
Because it's such an important topic. I don't want to say something wrong and just ruin it or ruin the essence of what it's about. So that's why it's always been quite refreshing to let the narrative of SocialFixt create on its own, you know, without me kind of speaking about it or putting my personality. Does that make sense?
Totally. But what I'm really fascinated about is if we bring music in now as well then. So, you know, your alter ego, you are a DJ. You are commanding hundreds, thousands of people in front of you and how they feel with total confidence. You are up on stage. It's only you. There's no band around you or anything. How does that go with everything you're saying about, you know, you're nervous about being the person in the limelight?
With DJing, though, I don't speak.
But the songs represent you.
Exactly. So for me, I can hide behind the music and the selection.
You are doing lots of amazing things, but where do you see yourself creating the most impact, creating a legacy for yourself while still generating an income?
When I think about everything that I do across SocialFixt, DJing, content creation, I would say it's actually the one thing that isn't about me that has generated the most income, which is SocialFixt. And so what I'm realizing is that the attachment that I have to being this multi-hyphenate three-dimensional, entrepreneur, tastemaker, and so on. It's gonna get to a point where it's gonna become tiring. And I am realizing that at some point I'm gonna have to pick one. And when I do think about which one is it that I'm gonna lead with, I just see SocialFixt in that vision. I see it because it is bigger than me, it will live longer than me. And that gives me the most joy and fulfillment as to what I want out of my life. So don't get me wrong, I love DJing.
Yeah.
But I am realizing that juggling so many different things, am I going to have a burnout at some point in time? I don't know.
I think this makes perfect sense. And, the advice to the people listening and thinking about this, maybe they've heard the thing around, you need to build lots of different income streams. It's a great way to try out a number of things and see what is really clicking with you right now, what's clicking with the world. But to then zone in on the one that's really landing and remembering that's not then it forever. One of the things we always hear from successful people is it's always about reinvention, constantly thinking about doing something for a couple of years, then figuring out what works from that, what can I add into it, and then pivoting a bit onto something new.
Absolutely. I think for me, I can just see the vision of SocialFixt a lot more clearer than with everything else that I'm currently doing. I want it to be one of the biggest recruitment platforms in the world. I want it to touch not just thousands of lives, but millions of lives. I want it to be the solution to creative work between now and decades to come. So even now, I can kind of see a lot of my efforts kind of pouring into that, one pursuit. We're trying to go for VC funding, not even trying, we will be going.
Yep. So there you go.
Affirming.
Yes.
We will be going for VC funding. I want to scale. I love bringing people together. So we will be planning to host our very first careers festival where we hope that thousands of young people will come down and get direct advice and direct mentorship and empowerment from the companies themselves. And so that brings me a lot of excitement because I think the next stage in my life in terms of what next is impact. That's all I want. I think the money's going to come once I create the impact.
Agree.
So I think for me, the motto is go big or go home. That's what I want to do now.
That is a very good motto.
Yeah. Go big or go home. What's the point?
Yeah. Kind of like moving on to think about reflection. How, if any, have your relationships changed with your success? Have you had to sacrifice anything?
I wouldn't say that I've had to sacrifice relationships, but I would say that I've had to sacrifice moments.
Okay.
In the sense of I can't always be at every birthday. I can't always be at I try my best to be at all the moments and events that are important to my friends and family, but what I do love them for is that they understand that my hustle is so much more unpredictable than theirs. So if I do have a gig or if I do have a panel talk that comes in on Monday, but it means that I have to then cancel an event that we'd planned for months on the Tuesday, just so that I can make that money, make that income, do what I need to do. They do understand it. I would say that my social group, my friendship group has become smaller. But I think that's just because of just age, right? I just think as we've got the same amount of time in the day, but I just feel as if like every hour is so much more important now in terms of just building family, building career. And so I think I'm just a lot more selective about how I want to use that time and who I want to pour that time into. And I'm realizing it's impossible to have millions of friends. Like I'm not 16 anymore. So I think naturally the friendship groups have become smaller, but the quality has improved. And my family have become more understanding as well of what I do. So the support has also improved. Whilst in the beginning, I was almost kind of fighting my mum to understand what I was doing with my life. But now she kind of gets it a little bit.
So as you've had more success and, you've been to lots of new places and as more of the world opens up to you, is your ambition growing?
100%. 1,000,000%. I just love being ambitious. I think it's exciting. I get a kick out of it, honestly. Just being able to wake up and be like, what's the next dream? What should we go for today? Even recently, I went to Cannes for a festival, and just seeing the wealth that was in that little town was just eye-opening. Seeing brands from all around the world, companies from all around the world, pouring so much into, their beach festivals, pouring so much into these amazing panel discussions, and it was just a lot. And I realized that there's a lot of money out there, and I want a piece of the pie.
Can I just say though, I love that honesty, because I think some people would be quite nervous to say that they're motivated by money, but we've all got to pay our bills, and that isn't by not having any money in the bank, but it's refreshing.
I think for me, money is a tool.
Yeah.
Money is a tool, and what I'm trying to do better at is managing that tool better. But I honestly think that when you have the right intentions and you have the right tools, you can do amazing things. And so for me, that's what's so important. I want to use money not only just to change my life and my family's life, but in order to create more opportunities, you need money. I think one of the biggest issues with a lot of Black founders and Black entrepreneurs is that we do not have access to a lot of capital. Only 1% of VC funded businesses are given to Black women or women.
No, 1%. It used to be so. The deploy of VC money used to go to 2% female founded businesses. It's now this year 1%. So I don't know what the...
So imagine...
0 point something.
For Black or brown founders.
Yeah.
So for me, it's important to find money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what? And that's why I have been reading a lot of books about mindset around money, because I think as women, as Black women, we feel uncomfortable. Like that shouldn't be your drive. Family should be your drive. And, kindness and all these quite soft characteristics should be your driving force. And don't get me wrong, they exist and they are, but I also want to make this global impact, and I'm going to need capital to do that.
When you have found success in inverted commas, because that means different things to different people, what are those personal intentions that you want to put out into the world?
So I think for me, I've used a lot of like my masculine attributes to get to where I am today. Super determined, super focused, high energy. Like I've used a lot of, when people describe me right now, they always use quite a lot of like masculine, domineering attributes. But actually, when I get to the other side, I want to show that softer side more. I want to be a better listener. And I think it ties into the leadership skills that I want to embrace as I really try and build SocialFixt even further. But I want to be a better listener. I want to be a better communicator. I want to be a better giver. I want to get to that point where, we're running such a profitable business, it's so much easier to give. Here's 10K grant for your business idea, or here's 5K to set up your creative pursuit. Like I want to be able to do a lot of that when I get to the other side. So yeah, I think listening and giving are probably like the two biggest things, because I also think they work quite nicely with building a better business. Being a better listener is so important. I want to listen to my audience. I want to listen to my staff. When I get staff, it's quite nice. I want to listen to my staff. I just want to be a more all-rounded, well-rounded person, not just have, the attributes that kind of make you feisty and hustler, but I actually just want to like have a more softer approach when I get to the other side and just balance it out a little bit.
And of these goals that you said you've got around what you want to be in the future, what's your success made you so far? What's changed about you as you've got to where you are now?
I would say that success has made me become a lot more focused, but it's also made me become more of a visionary. I thought I dreamed a lot when I was younger, but I think the more I see, the more I've been dreaming even now. So it's so important for me to write down everything that I dream about on paper, because I also want to hold on to that as much as possible. But yeah, I think as I get older and I'm more exposed to just different communities, different networks, different experiences, it's making me realize that impossible means nothing. You know, I can go for everything that I want and more. I can be a wife, I can be a mother, I can be an entrepreneur. I can be all these 3 things and more. And I think it's made me listen less to what the world says that I should be. I think I want to go, and I am going against the grain of what it means to be a woman, you know?
When you say about getting to the other side, do you think you'd be happy then? Are you going to have I've won at life moment, I can retire now, I can just chill out? Or do you think that you're always going to want to keep going like this?
Oh no, I'm going to reach a moment, and I will reach a moment where I'm content with life. I think that's important.
What's that moment?
When I've got my 4 to 6 bedroom detached house, somewhere ideally in North London. I have got a 4x4 that I'm very comfortable with, a husband, 2 kids, a business with a team of about, I can't really say, depends how big I go. But as long as I've got like a business that's still functioning and I can go on 4 holidays a year,
Minimum.
You have like the most specific...
But you have to be specific.
Idea of the dream I've ever seen.
I agree, and I think you should have this down. I think it's important.
It's written
to
in my
manifest.
notes. Yes, it's in my notes. I think once I've got that, I'll be content. So everything else will be a bonus. And I'll be okay with that. But I promise you it will.
I think though
you don't
that
think so?
You're the type of entrepreneur like entrepreneurs are, where you get that and then you're like, I want another business. Because this is what we found the theme is with all of the entrepreneurs, that they get all of these things. And then,
I promise you I'm not that.
Okay.
I actually love sleep. And I'm just being honest. Like I said, for me, my selfish goal is to create generational wealth for me and my family. And having that, what I've just said, is going to be integral. Everything else will be a bonus. If I have a property portfolio, bonus, you know? If I have another business or 2 or 3, that's a bonus. Okay. But I honestly, with what I've written down, once I get to that point, I will be content.
So that's the solid foundation that then you can build on.
Absolutely.
And also, what's really amazing that with your success, the byproduct of that is loads of other Black women's successes globally, all around the world. So you've not just created generational wealth for yourself, but everybody else.
Absolutely. I think I want to be an example that it is possible. Being first generation, our parents and my mum in particular, she did so much so that I could have the life that I have right now. And because of that, the pressures to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, they were so prominent in my life, in so many other lives. And so that's why making sure that I can empower and encourage a lot of young Black talent to pursue the creative industry, work in the creative industry and excel in the creative industry, and then create generational wealth for their families whilst being in the creative industry. That is something that I would love. That would be something that we're able to overcome and show and prove that it can be done. And I think it's quite exciting when I look around, because a lot of people in entertainment, in sports, in advertising, they are doing that. And so just to be a part of that story, to encourage other young talents to pursue that, and for us to just be on that journey together is going to be so important, and something that I'm really excited to be a part of.
Do you feel the pressure at times? And when you do, how do you rebalance yourself? How do you kind of find your zen when there's so much going on and there's so much going on in your head?
The pressure I feel is from trying to juggle so many things and trying to do them very well. So I definitely say that I've got perfectionist syndrome, and every now and then I will be on a roll because everything's working. But as soon as something doesn't go according to plan, it can disrupt my whole day. Everything stops. And so I'm trying to learn how to overcome that and not take things so personally. Understand that rejection, knockbacks, no's, they're all a part of life. It's all part of the journey of being an entrepreneur and just being able to embrace that and use that as fuel to keep going. I do think juggling so many different things though, like I've said prior, it will get to a point where I do want to niche down and just make it easier for myself and easier for my mind to kind of compute what's next. But yeah, I think that's where I find those pressures. And in those moments, I just want to sit and watch TV all day, which goes against what I need to do to become a millionaire. So yeah, it's a catch-22.
So we're getting to the end of the show. And we always like to ask our guests, is also another big question. If you could give yourself some advice and go back 10 years, what advice would you give your younger self, and would you have done anything differently?
So the advice I would give to my younger self of 10 years ago would be, it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah.
I think when you're young, when you're in school, college, university, the world is saying, make a decision and stick to it. Choose this course and stick to it. Go to this job, be in this job and stick to it. And I think that works for some people, but for me, that wasn't the case. And I was always scared to change my mind. I was always scared to pivot, because if I changed my mind and pivoted and did something that the majority was saying that I shouldn't do, if I failed, it would all be on me. But obviously, as I've gone through life, I'm like, it's actually quite exciting when you're able to have no fear about changing your mind. Not changing your mind so much that it turns into indecision, but just being able to know when something isn't working or when something has run its course and being able to kind of do something else. And I think what I really like about life right now is that I know that I can have multiple careers. It might not be able to happen all at the same time, but if I want to become an engineer in 10 years, why not? Why not? You know? And I think, you know, just being able to have that reassurance that I can do that, I can change my mind, I can pivot, I can change direction when I want, how I want, it's kind of cool. And I like that. And I would have told my younger self that.
Great. We ask guests that come on the show to give us some goals. So they could be personal goals or business goals, but hopefully Greg can help you. Is there anything that you'd like to ask him?
Greg is quite nervous about the Mercedes Benson goals because I'm getting vibes they're going to be quite global.
So I think one of my goals is to build a team and to become a better leader. So I would love to understand how to do that in this current climate. How can I become a better leader? What are the skills that I need to acquire and have to be one and to have the best team? Okay,
and I don't know how my team at work are going to feel listening to this as the leadership expert. But look, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, there's a thing that we've spoken a lot about in the place I work, which is making sure that the people you work with are really clear, that there's three things, that they are clear, that they're capable and they're motivated. So they understand what you want from them, what they need to do every day, that they're capable of doing that. So they've got the right skills or that they've had the right training and education on it. And then that you've got the motivation right, that's either cracking the whip or it's the great carrot that they're aiming for. When you get those three things right, then they're going to be behind you.
Okay.
But the other thing that everybody needs, whatever you're doing, is a mentor or a selection of them for different things. And I think, helping you find somebody that is in the right industry who's maybe in some way aligned with the way that you think, I think that's probably one of the most powerful ways to build that.
Amazing. And so my second question, Greg, is more about what does life look like once you have actually managed to scale and create a business that is globally recognized? That's the goal for me. That's what I want for SocialFixt. But I would love to see if you can give me tips on what life will look like once I've actually achieved that goal based on your experiences.
So having made a global business, you're going to be a bit further than your 4-bed house in North London, I'm guessing, at this stage.
I hope so, but I'll be content.
You'll be content. Maybe you still have it. Maybe it's like a little trophy that you've got. Look, I think at Coutts, we work with loads of people that are on the journey, who have made it, who have gone beyond it. So we've seen all these different kind of levels that people are at. But I think the thing that unites them is, firstly, they have to come to terms with the fact that if you're building something that you want to last forever, you won't last forever. So you need to find other people and build that team that we've talked about who you really trust, who can absolutely smash it with your business. And often, and this is what people find when they're raising investment above a certain level, if they're looking for growth capital or they're starting to think about moving their business on to somebody else, that it's recognized that maybe there are other people that can take it to the next stage better than you can. So that's something that people come to terms with. But then once you've done that and you've figured out a way to make sure the culture doesn't change as well, because culture is really important for people when they look back at the decisions they've made, especially around a business. You need to feel like, yeah, it's still in a good place. You know, it's going off with other people now, but I still love it. I wish it well. But the thing after that, you know, this is clearly a super passion area for you. So whether you're going to think about letting go of it one day or maybe just stepping back from the day to day, really finding what your passion is going to be and what you're going to do with stage 2 or stage 3 or stage 10 or whatever it is at that point, that's crucial. You know, we speak to tons of people who go from total intensity, 16 hours a day, answering 500 emails, spend the whole time in meetings and everything. You cannot just sudden stop. You've got to start building. You know, you've got to crossfade your life from one track into the next one.
I like that.
So that you're starting to think before the change comes, you've got it going and you're ready, and suddenly it's just easing into a new rhythm, which is exactly where you want to go.
Amazing. Thanks so much. That's great advice.
Thank you so much, Mercedes. That is just, it's been so lovely to chat, and
I've loved it.
I honestly, I can really see your business going astronomical. So I'm really excited for the future.
Thank you so much. Honestly, Laura, Greg, you guys have affirmed everything about who I am and what I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's been great to just have this chat and to get some good advice.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody for watching and listening. Don't forget to press follow and subscribe so that you can find out who is our next guest on our Coutts Beyond Success podcast. Until then.